You're listening to a Benstown and McVeigh Media Podcast Network production. Run It Again is an inside look at the players, the coaches, and the business of sports with former NFL star and broadcaster Ron Pitts.
And 2 minutes later, I was back in the same Oklahoma drill that I got the concussion from.
And the mastermind behind the greatest show on turf, Coach Mike Martz.
And we want to force him into a vanilla defense and go to work.
Run It Again is a hard-hitting, no BS podcast that connects you directly to the source. This is Run It Again.
All right, man. Well, hey, you were. Let's jump right into it. You were right on those Rams. Now you called that last week. You said they're going to go down there and slap them in the face, and they did.
Yeah, I think the Rams really are a better team when you look at it. They really are. They've not been playing well.
Yeah,
the key to it, of course, like we talked about last week, Ron, is a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, Stafford, he was lights out now. I mean, he was like 75, 76%, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's the best I think he's ever played.
That's the best I've seen him play. You're right. I was going to say that. Exactly.
And he's got that in him, but I think, like you have mentioned many times, he had to get the Detroit out of him, so to speak. And, I think that he's a worrier. I've had quarterbacks like that where they're afraid of pulling the trigger. They're not sure. Instead of just playing, just let it go. And he's still nervous in the pocket, which bothers me. He gets real antsy in there, but he's a lot more calm. He's a lot more confident than he was before. So he played really well. And if he didn't, they don't win. And everything's predicated on him. And that offense scored like 5 times in a row. And defensively, they just got charged up and started playing.
Yeah. And I thought Arizona helped his cause because
no question. Yeah.
That might have been the worst I've ever seen Kyler Murray play. And I don't know if it's the home thing. They don't play well at home. They've lost 3 now at home.
I think it might just be who they played at home.
Yeah, right. Maybe.
Yeah. I do know this. The Rams put on a show in a pass rush sense that they've not done this year.
Right.
Like we were talking about last week, number 54, I can't remember his name, the end for the Rams there on the left side. Floyd.
Yeah, Leonard Floyd.
He's a violent pass rusher, but he just got carried away. We used to tell those guys against it, don't work for the sack. Squeeze the pocket. Let him bail. And we'll get the push up inside because he's short. Yeah. We'll get the push inside, and he's going to bail right into you. But if you try to sack him, he's going to beat you, And so he let him outside a couple times, and that's where they got 2 big throws when he broke outside.
We talked about that last week. In order to beat Kyler Murray, you've got to squeeze the pocket and make him play the game in the pocket. That's counterintuitive to how you attack most quarterbacks.
And he'll get nervous because he's short and he can't see. And on the right side, he did that on the right side. In fact, he got a sack on him doing that.
Yeah.
Just the way they're supposed to do it. So the 2 new signings that they got really contributed in that game as well.
The stars showed up.
The 2 kids that they just brought in, and of course the receiver had a big night too. I think he did. He only had about 3 catches, but they're big plays in the game.
That's right. No, Odell Beckham, he had 6 total. Kupp was the one. 13 catches, 123 yards. It was a career night for him. Turnovers will kill you every time. People get tired of hearing it, but the Cardinals go down the field. Great drive in the first quarter, and I glanced at the possession, and they had taken 10 minutes off of the first quarter on the drive, and then he throws the pick.
Yeah,
and it looked to me like a classic story. I'm not taking anything away from the Rams. It looked to me like a classic story of the Cardinals buying in to all of the stuff they were hearing about the Rams, and then to make it worse, day of game they get 5 total COVID inactives, including some big time guys like Jalen Ramsey the right tackle Havenstein. So I
put him asleep. It does. It kind of puts them. Oh, we got this. That kind of thing.
I could tell by their energy. They just did. DeAndre Hopkins dropping balls. They just look like you said, sleep. No energy.
When you come out, a team like the Rams, the thing that makes Arizona so unique is they've got such great team speed.
Yeah.
But the Rams can match them. They're one of the few teams that can match their speed on both sides of the ball when they play. There was some violent pass rushes inside in that game. It was, from a technical standpoint, from a coach, when you watch it, Aaron Donald, buddy, he got off now. If he didn't make the sack, they were tackling him, or he had pushed him all the way back and forced him to bail, you know.
Yeah.
But and he's of course the one that got the tip on it. But he had a career night.
Yeah, that was Garcia. He was working on inside. The first play of the game, he just got underneath his chest plate, and he looked like he was on ice skates.
But he played both sides.
He moved around. Yeah,
he moved. They put him on the right side over the left guard there when they found him. Basically, I use the term, but pigeon. He, like you said, he got on Garcia on the left, on the other side. He got the push, and then they put him on the other side, and he just worked him. They just worked him, and that's a good offensive line now with the Cardinals. They're good.
Mm-hmm.
See, the thing about the Rams is if Stafford, he finally has that big game now where he's come through, because they had their back against the wall. There's no question about it. And he came through in a big game and won it because of him.
Right.
And now I think that's a huge turning point in this young man's career. Huge turning point. There's no doubt now what he's about and what he can do.
That's right. No, if he's going to do it, he's going to do it from this point forward. That's what it looks like and feels like.
But this is the first game, I think, Ron, where because the games in Detroit, you know, they really don't matter, you know, the scheme, but the whole nation's watching him. It's a chance to get in the playoffs. So he's fighting, but to have that performance against a quality team like that, I don't think he's ever done that before.
No, I don't think he has either. Yeah. And the Rams got helped out early because they had to start because of the Jalen Ramsey COVID thing. He didn't play, and a couple other guys didn't play. They had some young corners out there. That number 35, they were about to take him to the woodshed, but Kyler missed him twice wide open, and one was a touchdown. And I knew then the Rams had a chance. I knew they. Yeah,
he can do that occasionally. I mean, it does happen in the league. Even the best ones do that.
Mike, it was in that corner, that poor kid. I know what that kid was going through. I mean, he was just brought up from the practice squad. They threw him out there, and things are going 500 miles an hour. One time he tried to get out of his back pedal, just a simple turn and run deep, Mike, and he fell. He just fell down. Yeah. I've seen that. I've done that. I'm laughing because I've done that. I've coached kids that have done that. And it's nerves. I had a kid in high school that did that. You know, the coaching staff didn't want to play him. They whatever. And I said, no, he's our best player. Let's put him on the field. So the first play, I looked out at him. He's standing back about 7 yards. His knees are shaking. and Mike, they just ran a little slant, and he tried to break on it and fell and hit his head. And I just started laughing. The head coach is screaming. And when he came off the field, I looked at him. I laughed. I said, okay, you got it out of your system.
It's over with.
And then he laughed, and then he had a great game.
But Orr, after that, he played pretty good. He came up, made some big tackles, and you know, he was tight in coverage most of the time. He ended up not being an issue at all. You know, they were shocked by the Rams, how physical they were and how fast they were playing. Usually they set the pace, and the Rams set the pace. And the Rams, to be a championship team, they have to play like that every single week and get better at it.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't come ready to play. That's what should happen. And you know what? Welcome to the NFL.
What's the running back? Was it Michael?
Michelle. He had a big day.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. Michelle, he got off too.
Yeah, he had a big physical day. Some
they need to go ahead and saddle him up a little bit too and get him going to take the pressure off that passing game. You know,
right? Yeah. Well, they didn't get the Henderson kid back. He was, you know, he had the injury. Then he also had the knee. So, on the COVID rather.
COVID thing.
Yeah. So, and Michelle, you know, coming out of New England, he knows what time it is this time of year. And he
was a good player there. Now he did a good job for him.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, let's go Sunday night, Green Bay and Chicago. I thought Green Bay was going to fall asleep on that one, and the whole Rodgers, I own you and all this, and that little return man for Chicago. Boy, he was trying to start some stuff, wasn't he?
Boy, I tell you, the yard lines were going by fast when he was coming back on that punt return.
What did you say? The yard lines were going by?
They're going by a lot faster than everybody else.
Yeah.
He had amazing speed. It was fun to watch him. I think they just came out from there's no question that the comment affected the Bears. They came out and played really good football. But you know, that burst just isn't enough in the long run when the other team is as good as they are. They just go to work on you. You know, they use some of that against you too. You know, you just get kind of caught up in the emotion of it, and you do stupid stuff. You know.
Yeah. What other game did you see that really stood out to you, Mike?
Well, the Buffalo game, you know, that was interesting because they got behind and then they stormed the gates at the end. But Brady let him in that thing. Brady in the first half was just ridiculous. The second half, and he's done this. You and I have seen him do this during the season. In the second half, he missed probably 3 throws that he would never miss normally.
Yeah.
Right? It just didn't make sense. But they got him 3 and out there in the second half quite a bit, and they made it quite a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen to Buffalo now, because what is that? And aren't they just about 500 now? Or and they start off so hot.
Right. No, they started off real hot, Mike, and now that's 2 losses in a row. Okay, they lost one obviously last week up there in New England, and now they've lost, this one here. And I knew that was going to be a tough one. It traditionally.
Well, 2 great teams. Yeah, 2 great teams. But I think the biggest thing that shocked me about that game is defensively. They couldn't even slow them down. I'm talking about Buffalo. They didn't slow them down.
Yeah.
Of course, not many people do, but I thought Buffalo was a little better than that on defense.
Yeah. Yeah. The Bills are 7-6, but they're stuck in a I don't want to say a rut, but this time of year where you got 2 Hummers back to back. Okay. And now they're getting ready to go back up to New England pretty soon here and play them. And New England's coming off a bye week. Okay, so it's going to be rough sledding, and no one cares, right? What they say, we don't care how tired you are.
Well, that's the point. Nobody cares how you have a short week, or if you lost these guys to COVID, or this or that, or that your quarterback's hurt. Nobody cares.
No, nobody cares.
You still got to line up and play.
Right. I mean, they've got a week in between. Buffalo's got Carolina coming up this week, and then they're going to take on New England. So
now is Cam back? He said he was back, but I haven't seen him.
He said he was back. Yeah, right.
I'm back, and they haven't won a game yet. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I ought to go back.
Well, gosh. Well, so much for stomping on logos.
Yeah, right.
For the Raiders Kansas City game. That's just.
Now let's look at this. Now Green Bay. He makes the comment, they're a real good team, and it's true. I mean, he has owned them, right? So they just show up and they beat them again, right?
It's true. Yeah.
The Raiders are struggling, and to go out on the field on the logo out there and do what they did, just didn't make any sense to me.
Why would you do that? I mean, why? So Bisaccia, he's taken over as interim head coach, well-respected guy. Been in the league a long time special teams coaches. We know the guy down in Tampa Bay. And it seems with all the rhetoric and all the talk, in spite of what this team has gone through this year, that the players have taken to him. They like him, embrace him. And I just don't know if that's something that he okayed. I'm pretty sure he's said, hey, players, you do what you do. This is your team. You do what, you remember Gruden had the victory lap after you win. They take a victory lap with the buses around the stadium. Is this more of that?
Yeah,
right. Oh my gosh.
You look at Andy Reid, you look at Belichick, Pete Carroll, those guys. You just don't do that stuff. You just don't.
Why? I mean, I just anyway. Let's go back. I was talking about that Dallas-Washington game. So, Dallas brought the heaters up there, and Mike McCarthy said during the week, I'm confident we can go win. That's that old school Dallas Cowboy talk. That reminded me of Jimmy Johnson on the radio before a playoff game, I believe it was one time, saying, I guarantee the win. And I wonder if they play best like that, because that's them.
Well, yeah, the other thing is, though, it was taken out of context. He said, I feel like we can win every week is kind of basically what he said.
That's exactly what he said.
Yeah, so the media, of course, you're going to.
Yeah.
But I think, when you're a talented football team, and you're trying to get momentum going, sometimes that stuff, when you call somebody out as a coach or something like that, and basically, I don't know that he really intended to do that, but they rise. They rose to the occasion. I told you that story about, my experience with that with New Orleans, at the end of the season. But
oh yeah, with Jimmy Haslett,
with Jimmy Haslett. Hey, Coach, how you now? You just played on Monday night and got beat down in Tampa Bay. Now, how are you going to go back on Saturday, last game of the season on Christmas? And if you're lucky enough to win, you're going to have to go back down there on New Year's and try to beat them. Well, I was going to walk away from it, and then it just stuck me. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going down there and wish them Merry Christmas and beat their behinds and come back and do all that stuff.
And that's pretty much what you did.
And so we did.
Yeah,
We went down
yeah.
there and beat them. But the whole point there was we were dead,
Yeah.
physically beat up and tired. And at that point, the players, there's so much character in the locker room. We played our hearts out. They just did a great job with it. And sometimes that wasn't intentional by any stretch of imagination. But the story about that is important to me because they're so competitive and tough. They rose to the challenge and just did it.
Yeah. Chargers now. Everyone's talking about the Chargers. Kansas City took care of the Raiders. And I know your feelings about Kansas City. You still think the quarterback needs to get himself back in center, and the defense is playing better, but they have their moments. So, everyone's talking Herbert now. Boy, I tell you, LA is an amazing place because 3 weeks ago, they were on the kid's case. Said, he's throwing interceptions. He's doing this. He's doing that. Blah, 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 blah. Now he has one big throw, and it was a nice throw. But now they're back on the Herbert train. So what do you think on this one?
Well, people that know football have never left that train.
Right.
You have to you watch him. There's so many things around him. He's such a good player. He's a Aaron Rodgers kind of talent, And
we said that in the begining of the season. He
is so unusual. Now they may have some problems on defense or here or there, but he's a great player. That's not going to change. They have to fix some other things. But when they go to Kansas City, they beat them earlier in the year. When they go to Kansas City, they can keep pace with Kansas City offensively. And the thing about Kansas City, the way they've won in the past is they get out so early on you at times. They make you change what you do. But with a great passing team like the Chargers are, they won't blink. They'll go in there and it'll be a battle. Defensively, they're much better than what they were.
Yeah.
They could not do anything against the run, but they've done some things to help themselves there too. And I think the running back is going to be back this week for San Diego.
Yeah, for the Chargers. Yeah. Now they're playing that game in LA.
San Diego. I mean, the Chargers.
No, I know you. There's a lot of. I'm running into more and more people, Mike, that refuse to say LA.
Well, it is San Diego. It's always going to be the San Diego Chargers to me. So you're going to have to just live with that one.
I'm going to live with it. And another issue here, he may come off the list, but the starting left tackle, Rashawn Slater for the Chargers, he's on the COVID list.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. So he may come off before game time, but remember now, this is a Thursday game. So that's a quick turnaround. This is going to be an interesting one. We'll see who's really who on this one. We'll see if, the Kansas City defense has been fixed. We'll see if Mahomes is back to the old Mahomes. We'll see if how much Herbert can carry him, and we'll see if they can get along the Chargers. That is, with a change at left tackle. They've got an issue at the right tackle. Boy,
they do.
Storm Norton, Jackie Slater's all over Storm Norton now. Man, he's been on him since the beginning of the year.
Not a very confident player yet, Ron.
Yeah.
I've had a couple guys like him in the past. He could end up being a real good player, but he just doesn't have that kind of confidence yet. But if they get Eckler back in the running game, because that's the key for them, because he kind of changes the game for them, because he's a violent runner that gets yards after first contact and all that. And I think that's really important for the Chargers.
Right. Lamar Jackson, I don't know what his situation is going to be. He got dinged up in that game against the Browns. Big win for the Browns. That they need to pull that one out. That's a division game, so that was huge. Tough to know where the Ravens are going. I mean, they're just
they just haven't looked good since the first 2 or 3 games of the season.
Yeah.
I just don't know what they are on offense, Ron. They just can't get going. So then they ask him to win the game, so to speak. And they have kind of pared their offense down to just a certain things, and they just have lost some of the running game that they had in the past. And I don't know. It's hard to explain what they're doing. They just look out of sync, and they just do not play well in the offensive line, which is different because they've been good there in the past. They've given up a ton of sacks.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hey, before we move on to next week's games, give me your thoughts on this Urban Meyer deal. I mean, obviously he's drowning right now, and lots going on.
And the players are playing like that too. I mean, they're a better team. There's some players on that team. They're just not playing.
Right. So, the talk has been, well, Khan could shelve him, could get rid of him. I don't know if that's financially feasible. You'd have to look at all the money that's involved because he's been paid a lot and there's a lot due. So a deal would have to be made. He could walk away. He doesn't strike me as that type unless he's got another deal in college. Then I could see that happening. But what do you think's going to go on here?
Well, he won't be there next year. He's smart enough to know that, and he's smart enough also to know to stay involved in a college job someplace. I don't know which it would be or where it would be, but
yeah.
Or he's going to take a mulligan, take the year off, but he won't be there next year.
You take a mulligan.
Yeah.
How many mulligans did you buy? I bought 2. Well, you really only bought 1, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Golly, boy, that thing just. Now, aren't those all of his? Because he's been screaming, I got a guy leaking information here. We got to answer. Well, okay, everybody's got a guy leaking information now. That's a new thing. Everybody's got a mole. But now, aren't those his assistant coaches he brought on that staff? Those are his guys, right?
Yeah, he heard all of them. Yeah.
Okay, so you can only have so much mileage on that one.
No,
right?
He's a problem. He is definitely the problem. It's just. Remember when Nick Saban tried to coach the NFL? It's just a different game.
Yeah.
He was at Miami.
No, I know that didn't last long.
He struggled to be 500, and it's an entirely different game.
Yeah.
And you can't talk to NFL players like you talk to college kids. It just doesn't work. They know if you know right away. College kids don't, but they do. They know if you know what you're doing, and he doesn't know what he's doing in the NFL, I promise.
Yeah, it looks bad.
The bad news about that is there's some good college coaches that would probably do well in the NFL and may not, because of this is such a tarnished deal, that will kind of maybe keep guys from hiring out of college now.
Yeah. Mike, how did they know? How do you know if you're an owner and, this football business isn't necessarily their business? Like the owner in Jacksonville, he comes from shipping and engineering stuff. He's got businesses all over the globe. Heavily based in the UK. Some guys come from oil, some guys come from real estate. So on and so forth, construction. So how does that owner get the right GM or team of people to make the right decision if you don't know?
Well, that's the golden question. Chicago would like to know that right now too. So would Detroit, all those teams. It's so inbred in organizations where they like somebody and they keep them in the organization that are decision makers, Ron, and they're embedded deep into the program at high levels, and they just aren't going to change anything. And until those changes happen, they'll keep making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
There's. Without getting into naming names and all that, there's in both those organizations, there's probably 4 organizations like that, and they'll never change until they change way deep inside. You know what I mean? And have somebody who really knows football.
Yeah, you said we're not going to name names, huh? Okay.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I'd like to name some names, Mike. But.
Yeah, I would too, but it's I know, and until those people change, it's just going to be the same because they just don't know what they're doing. They really don't.
I'll just throw this out there and let people sleep on this. I played for one of them, and they got it right for a period of time, but before that time, the owner didn't get it right.
Yeah.
And so I'll leave it at that. But yeah, that's big because then there's this thing also that's gone around saying, well, not every NFL team necessarily from a financial standpoint wants to win because winning costs more money. Later on,
as silly as that sounds, I won't go into that. But
all right, moving forward,
you're tricking me, aren't you? Trying to trick me. I'm not going to take it.
Mike, you didn't go for the play action on the side.
I'm staying deep. You're not going over my head.
I gave you BIM influence. I gave you influence. So I'm going to come back this.
That hook didn't set, Ron. Our hook did not set.
Oh, that's great.
Not doing it.
Man.
Not
I love you,
man.
That's real
not
pro.
Gonna do it.
Pro and pro talking here. That's right. Okay.
Not gonna do it.
All right, here we go. So let's go on to next week here, and we already talked about Kansas City and the Chargers. That'll be a good one. 9-4 versus 8-5. Chargers got back up to 8-5. Man, some teams sneak, they're real quiet how they move. The Patriots were like that, quietly kept moving and got a good record now.
Well, he's
9-4, right? Yeah.
He knows he's I really love this head coach. I really do. I love who he is as a man.
For who? For
the Chargers.
For the Chargers, yeah, Staley, yeah. Brandon Staley.
Yeah. And just what he's about as a man and just the honesty of him and he's a brilliant coach on top of that. And he fixed as best he could what's happening on defense. And hopefully it's with string and kite and glue, kite string and all that stuff, but hopefully they can hold it on defense. But I think that his personality has really, and his approach to the game has really spurred them on and kept them in games. I really do.
Yeah. So the Patriots go into the Colts, 9-4, 7-6. There's two really good coaches in this one. You won't see any dumb stuff go on here.
No.
I promise you this one. And
right.
I feel like this one's going to come back down like it always does kind of this time of the year. It's going to come back down to the quarterback. And Wentz is going to have to keep himself together. And that rookie on the other side, they may not be able to protect him with, 40 some odd runs in this one. I don't know.
No, I don't think they can. He's going to have to really play big, just like Stafford did this week. He's going to have to be the reason why they win this game instead of just play. Defensively, they're going to have to hold up because they're really storming the gates right now. New England is because basically they do whatever they want on offense. They're so efficient, run the ball, and the passing game is. And he's up over 70% or whatever, and he's been playing so good. Jones has. I'm talking about Jones.
Yeah, Mac Jones. Yeah, Mac Jones. Yeah.
I just don't see New England losing until the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, just the way they're going, man. I just don't know.
Now, maybe Buffalo beats them up there in a couple of weeks. Maybe. I doubt it. Buffalo's got problems on defense right now that I don't know how they fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the morale thing. I think that coach is pretty good with their morale. I've always
he's a good coach.
Solid,
he's a good guy.
But man, that's tough. And I could see this coming. I could see that coming. So if you like a lot of football this weekend, you're going to get a lot of football this weekend. Obviously the Thursday game, but the Browns and the Raiders are going to play on Saturday at 1:00 West Coast time, and Patriots and Colts are going to play at 5:00 West Coast time on Saturday. So 2 Saturday games, and then we're into Sunday. Now the Cowboys, like 2 back-to-back trips here now. So now they're going to New York, back-to-back road trips. Now they're going to New York.
Yeah, they got a bye week, really, is what it amounts to. In New York, the Giants are so bad right now. They can't
even muster anything up to surprise them.
And I feel bad for that because he's not going to make it.
Judge?
Yeah, he won't make it. But it's just, it's the timing of the schedule has worked out really well for the Cowboys. They'll go up and they'll play real well. If they don't go up and play real well, then it brings back all those old questions about the Cowboys. And what bothered me about that Washington game last week was they had the Washington just put away. At halftime, they were done. They were toast. And, when that happens, you got to come out in the second half and you got to put them away. They're in your same division. If you got a division foe down, if you can beat them 100-0, you beat them 100-0. You got to take the life and the will out of them, right. And he didn't do that. They started substituting in there in the second half and they're up by 2 scores and they're substituting. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do
that.
Yeah. He came back and almost got beat, and honestly, and I got criticized for this, but if you're in my division and we can put 100 on you, buddy, we're going to put 100 on you.
Well, no, that's right. Like you said, that's not for today, just today. That's for next week, next year, and as long as I'm coaching.
That's what it's exactly. You take the will out of them. We did that with Atlanta. Mm-hmm. For years we never lost to Atlanta. We would bury them whenever we could.
Yeah, make them not want to play you next time or ever again. Make them remember.
So when they always tell a player when they try out in the field, make sure they understand it's going to be just like the last one.
and hopefully that's a good one you won.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, no, it's
yeah.
You got no chance. You got no chance, buddy. So how you want to take it?
And that works both ways too now. So if you put a thumping on someone, remember, Dad, you say this. you do some dirty stuff and run it up, then they remember it. But that's okay. That's the business we've been in, Mike. I'm comfortable with it. I've been born and raised into it, so that's how it is.
So here's what it's telling the guys: why would anybody be afraid of playing somebody at their best? Isn't that what it's all about?
And that's what that's right.
And don't you want them at their best? If you got to call them out face to face, get them out there. But the satisfaction of winning a game when you know that they're playing as good as they can possibly play and they're at full strength.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. Going back to that Washington game, I didn't think Dallas game, I didn't think Washington protected very well. Parsons just had his way inside, and they looked like they weren't ready inside, or that's maybe as good as they are.
That's as good as they are. With and they're struggling on offensive line, but
yeah,
nobody's blocked Parsons yet, so that's not unique to Washington.
No, that's right. Yeah,
he might be the MVP. In the league at the end of the year, you never know.
Yeah,
I've never seen anybody like him.
Yeah, he's
see.
Pretty good. And that number 11, man, it makes you double take. I'm like, wait a minute, what position is he? And that number 11 is around there. So let me see here. I'm just looking.
He doesn't know enough to be tired either,
Right. Know enough to be tired. Yeah, right. This time
he hasn't got into that pro glide yet where you take a little off here and he just goes, buddy. That motor just goes.
He goes, right. Oh boy. Yeah. The other big games. So Arizona took the L. All right, they're 10-3 now, still a really good record, but now they're gonna have to fight it out with the Rams, especially if the Rams keep going in that conference or that division.
But I tell you, the 49ers, Ron, right now in the last 3 weeks or so, actually the last month, they've been playing great football.
They picked it up, 7-6 now. Yeah, big win against the Bengals there. In a weird game, overtime game, came back, won it. That's all you got to do is win it. Doesn't matter. Kittle
had, 13 catches for 150 or whatever. And, they just find ways to win. They're just a physical football team. I like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I do like Garoppolo. I really do. I know, a lot of people don't, but I like the guy. He makes plays. He's very accurate. He makes plays.
He looks different now. And wasn't too long ago, early in the year, they were talking about trading him and maybe he was on the trade block for next year and this and that, but he looks good. That Seattle game got away from him, and they're wishing they had that one, obviously, because that was one they probably should have won. I think all around they're a better team than Seattle, but if you want them, you got to win them.
So let's talk about Seattle here real quick, Ryan.
Yeah.
What do you think the difference was in Seattle? Why did they come back and win so big? I know it wasn't Texans, but why did they win so big?
Run game, I thought.
Yeah, you know who it is?
Rashad Perry.
Penny.
Penny. Yeah.
Penny, San Diego State running back.
San Diego State.
He's been on ice for 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether he's injured or not. I really don't know, but I remember him in college thinking this guy's going to tear the league up.
Remember
and
that?
Then I never heard anything. And now he was. They got him on the field and he's just tearing it up.
Yeah. No, and so
he's a big dude, Ron. He's a big man.
Yeah.
And he can run. He's like I said, when I watched him at San Diego State, he was unbelievable. And he disappeared and all of a sudden he shows up and he'll be a reason why they win for sure. What do you have? Like 150 or 130 yards or something like that?
Yeah, close to 130. Yeah. He was definitely up in the hundreds. And that team, it's funny because they found something. A team that, 2 weeks ago, Pete was walking out of press conferences. He was so frustrated. But, and now I don't want to gloss too much over there because they were playing Houston. But, you take them as you get them.
Well, yeah, and I think the thing that's always been missing for them is that running game and having a solid back like that. Right. And I think they kind of stumbled into it, and it affects the coverages, the quarterback. You're not seeing all those 2 deep, coverages with man under and combo coverages. Now you're seeing 3 deep, and he'll kill that.
Yeah.
He threw a ball probably just as far as Herbert did. You didn't see
Russell.
Yeah, Russell, he pitched that about 65 too.
Yeah,
he had a hell of a throw in that game. It was really a long ball.
Hey, a team that no one's really talking about, and they're still alive in this whole thing, is in the AFC because everybody it's got 6 wins. It's alive, seems like. The Dolphins in Tagovailoa, he's still doing his thing, but what do you think?
Buying it.
Yeah,
I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
They're just not that good of a team overall. I mean, defensively, they've hung in there even through all those losses early, and the quarterback has gotten better and better every week. But they're just not good enough when you compare them to these other teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think they make it in. I don't see that, but maybe they do.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Buffalo and New England. I just don't know how they're going to make it past some of those teams.
It seems like it'd be a fight for them to step in there. And the Ravens are up high, or they've got eight wins, but
well, they won't go away, and they're a talented team. They're just not playing as well as we've seen them play in the past. And the quarterback, that's a lot of pressure every week to ask him to win. I think that's kind of what happened to Mahomes there for a while, and they dialed him back, and now he's playing. He's got the discipline of what they do, so to speak. And this kind of street football that they ask him to do at the end of the game to win it is pretty hard for him to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that AFC is messy in the 7-6, 7-win, 6-win columns. Like the Browns are 7-6, Colts 7-6. Who else? Steelers 6-1. Oh, you can get lost in there. That's going to be tricky.
Yeah, I think the Colts though, and then the Browns are probably the better teams of that group that you talked about. I don't think the Steelers are going to go anywhere.
I don't think they're going to go anywhere.
I think Big Ben is. We know this is last year, of course, and they just don't have the running game that they had in the past, and a lot of things defensively. Remarkably, they look so different than what they have historically.
Yeah, the Broncos at 7-6. It's a quiet 7-6, but it's a 7-6 going backward.
But they beat some very good teams too, Ron. They beat some very good teams, and that's another team that I wouldn't rule out as sneaking in there. I think they're got a chance.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they had a tough week with Demaryius Thomas passing and paying homage to him throughout the week and the game and so on and so forth. So that was very classily done, I thought. Very, very well done.
Yes.
Baltimore, Green Bay. We didn't get this one in. Baltimore, Green Bay. So this will be Green Bay now going to Baltimore. Yeah, not sure exactly. Lamar, if he's going to play, probably will, got carted off, so on and so forth. But, Rodgers keeps talking about that toe. I don't know how much I want to hear about it, but they keep talking about it. This is a tricky game for Green Bay, I think, because I think Ravens now, they got that back against the wall feeling and mentality. And Green Bay, I didn't like the way they glided into the first half of last week's game.
Well, I think they weathered the storm. I think what happened is Chicago came out and played so well. I think it shocked them a little bit, but it didn't move them. They just methodically got back into the game. And
the quarterback was the reason for that. Yeah, I watched that. He was very cool.
He was very cool about everything. And in Baltimore, they'll blitz him, and because it's what they do against those passers like that, and he'll kill them. The receivers are all back now. They got both backs, and they got the big dude, number 28. I keep forgetting his name. A big 255-pound running back, and then they got Jones, and they're healthy and they're really good, and they're getting better every week. And that quarterback right now is just ridiculous.
Oh, you're talking about Dylan, the running back.
Dylan, yes.
Yeah,
I'm
Dylan's
sorry, Dylan.
Dylan's a load, boy.
So you're trying to take care of the quarterback and all those receivers, and then they throw this guy at you, right? And then defensively, they didn't play real well against Chicago in the first half, but they shut them down completely the second half.
Yeah.
But defensively, they're a good defense. Like I said, might be the best Green Bay team I've seen. Overall.
Feels like it. Yeah, feels like it. Definitely feels like it. Yeah. And
I think like I told you, Ron, I think they win it all this year.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see anybody beating them.
Who's coming out of the AFC? Just give me two teams.
I think New England and Kansas City will come out of AFC.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it'll probably come down to Tampa Bay and Green Bay. I don't know if Arizona is really ultimately good enough or the Rams.
Yeah.
I think the Rams are a better football team overall, regardless of what's happened win-loss wise. But
Mhm.
I think they're really a good team waiting to happen. You could see that here last night.
You could see that last night. Right. And this will be fun. This will be interesting here to see.
But the NFC's got some really good football team. They really do. And then you got teams like San Francisco is making a run at it. If you just look at the last month, 3 of those games, they really play exceptionally well.
San Francisco's got the Rams, or I should say the Rams have San Francisco at home, the final game of the season. Both teams will need that game, I can promise you.
That'll be huge, yeah.
That's going to be a big game. And San Francisco now has beaten them like 2 years straight.
Yeah.
Okay, they've just slapped them around.
Yep.
So this will be interesting. And I don't know. I got a feeling the Rams are going to want this game and want some payback, but we'll see how that one goes. And
The Rams, everything rests on Stafford. If he can play as efficient and as well as he's played, with the receiver crew that they have now,
yeah,
and defensively they come alive. That front, they did some nice things with the front too. Finally,
yeah.
Like I said, they moved Aaron Donald around inside a little bit and got some guys free, and they've got speed on the outside rushers, and
yeah,
they're a good team.
The Rams they'll take on the Seahawks. Now that's here in LA. So I know the Seahawks. I know what they're thinking. They're going to come down here and catch the Rams after a big game and get up under the chin, surprise them. And this did happen to the Rams earlier in the year. Rams had a huge win against defending Super Bowl champion Tom Brady and Gronk and all of that stuff, and they broke Gronk's ribs, yada 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 yada. And then the next week, Arizona came in there and beat them. Yeah. So I am sure that they're going to safeguard against that one this time around.
Well, Arizona's not Seattle. I think in Seattle's case, the chance that they have is that they can mount that running game with Penny. If they can get him
now that they have that, and
get coverages where he can throw the deep ball like he likes to throw.
Yeah.
They put too deep and they can't get that ball down there. Now they got a single safety because of the running game. Now you can get those big plays down the field. So they have to pound it with him. Penny's going to have a great game against the Rams, and some backs have done that to that defense.
Yeah, he had 137 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing last week here against Houston. Got it, folks. I know it's Houston. But remember, when people have had success against the Rams this year, they run the game. See, that was another thing Arizona really –
I was surprised.
Connor ran tough, but they never stuck with it. And they didn't – you know what else they looked like, Mike? Arizona looked nervous and unraveled early. I could tell there was some miscommunications going on. Kyler was chatty with the sideline a lot.
I'm telling you, Ron, the thing that got to Arizona was the speed and the intensity of the Rams was different than what they've seen in the past. They shocked them. That storm that they hit, they just, whoa, this isn't the team we played earlier.
It wasn't the team they played earlier. Yeah. You know, and I'm gonna put this out there. I'm gonna blame the head coach a little bit. I'm gonna put this on Kingsbury, because you got to get your team ready, and I don't think they were ready. So some of it's on him.
I think what got him in his play calling is, I think the first 3 or 4 times that they ran the ball on first down, they got no gain.
Mm-hmm. Got slammed.
And that intimidates him out of wanting to run the football again.
Yeah.
And if you're patient a little bit, and they had, like you said, that 10-minute drive down there, but it was a dink and dunk, and he ran a little bit. So, for him, for that offense to go, their running game's got to show up, because Kyler Murray can make a lot of plays. He's a little bit like what happens in Baltimore. If you don't have that dynamic running game, which is missing in Baltimore, that helps you, then you become one-dimensional, and then they close it in on you.
Mm-hmm.
But, it wasn't one of those things like the Rams blew him out either. I mean, the guy threw for 370 yards or whatever and rushed for another whatever.
It was the interceptions. I'm telling you. Remember now, this game is with all the accolades we're throwing out to the Rams, and rightfully so, it was a one-possession game, okay, a one-score game, and you can trace that directly back to the interception in the red zone by Murray.
But all those things, the 2 turnovers, the interception, all that, they created those on defense. It wasn't something like the guy fumbled to him or whatever. They created those things. He tipped the ball, linebacker picked
the tip, the tip. I didn't know where he was throwing down by the goal line, though.
Oh, he had.
That's the one.
He had the receiver going to the back line. He had him. The ball came off his hand a little low. If the ball was another 6 inches high, he'd hit him for a touchdown.
I didn't see the window. It looked like the linebacker was standing right in the window. But maybe,
no,
like
there was
said,
a
maybe it
receiver
was
going vertical through the back of the end zone, and he's trying to get it over the linebacker. Had it not gotten tipped,
yeah,
it would have been a touchdown. I mean, he had him. But
you
that's
think,
how close the game is.
You think the tip affected that ball? I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I know they showed it, but
no question it did it.
Yeah.
The thing was, he had a nice tight spiral. It gets tipped and starts wobbling all over the place.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's how defenses can create, and that's how they're supposed to create.
But see, that against him, that's what you do. Don't try and sack him at the end.
No, keep him in the pocket.
Don't try to beat the tackle and sack. Get up and squeeze, and then up front squeeze to him, and then bat the ball down. He's a guy that if you keep him in the pocket, you'll bat a lot of balls down.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Mike. Well, we got to get out of here. But before we do, I wanted to throw this out at you. And I think we're going to start doing this every week because I like reminiscing about this game. And I said, every week, let's have a legend of the week that we discuss. And I'm going to throw a name out there, and then you just take off with it because it's going to be a name that you know. So this particular player is Speedy Duncan.
Oh, my gosh. He just passed away. Oh, my heart. My heart.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
I loved him. I just loved him. I used to go to Balboa Stadium down in San Diego
for the Chargers. In
the old days. And my gosh, I can remember my buddy and I were in the stands. We were just kids, and we're sitting there. In those days, you could smoke all you want in the stand, so it's a cloud of smoke all over the stand. You're gagging, guys are drinking beer and smoking, and you can't see the game.
Yeah.
But I remember he ran two kickoffs back for a touchdown. And I know he's going to run this back, typical fan, And there he goes. He goes beep, beep. And to see somebody that fast in uniform and run like he could do would just take your breath away.
Speedy Duncan.
He was so much fun to watch.
What number was he? 34, 30, 30,
no,
30, 45?
No.
I think it's
no, I can't remember his number.
Well, I'm looking at, I just got a picture here. Here's 45.
45.
45.
Yeah.
45.
Oh, Speedy Duncan. Yeah.
Now, Mike.
Keith Lincoln was 22. Well, I could go on naming them. I could do that.
They started when he was on the team. Now, were they at the Balboa Stadium?
Yes.
Or were they the LA
this
Chargers?
Is at Balboa. This is
okay.
Balboa Stadium down San Diego High School, that old stadium down there. It was a high school stadium originally that they built into a booming 28,000 or 30,000 seat stadium.
Okay. Wow.
It was not earthquake proof, by the way.
Oh.
In fact, if the crowd got too loud, there was a chance it might come down,
Yeah.
Used to watch Jim Otto there, from the Raiders come down there, 00 center. And there's just Paul Lowe and Cookie Gilchrist and all those great names from the old AFL, Cookie Gilchrist.
Yeah, he passed away last week. So our condolences and prayers out to the family. Spend some time with the Redskins as well. The old Redskins.
Yes. Yeah, the old ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much fun to watch, Ron. You just didn't know. As soon as he touched the ball, you just thought, he's going to go.
Yeah.
Those guys, most electric players I've ever seen.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway, I knew you would like that, so we're going to throw that out there every week. I'm going to hit you with a surprise legend of the week, man, and we're going to ramp that up.
Jackie Slater. I was ready to go.
No, that's too new. Yeah, we had you on the show. We had you on our show, our Fox show here in LA. That was too easy, man.
Big Daddy Lipscomb.
Yeah. Oh God.
There's a bunch of old charts. Ernie Ladd, big girl, Ernie Ladd. I can still see him.
Yeah. Something
about
Balboa
the game Stadium
was different then, boy. It was, and he had spats. I'm looking at his spats right now. He had these nice spats. And spats, for those of our listeners and viewers that don't know, those are just when you tape up the shoe to add extra support to it. Well, the tape would be a different color than the black shoe. So, it gave you that spat look, kind of like the old dress shoe that people used to wear around. So call them spats. And
spats, yeah.
Sweet look.
And then on that tape, he and Blitnikoff, you could see all that stickum on the side of the. So he'd reach down and with his fingers and just whip put some on his fingers so he get that
Stickum.
stickum. Yeah.
So explain to our listeners what stickum is.
It's a kind of it looks like a Vaseline, but it's not. It's anything but. It looks just like Vaseline, and it's just what it says, stickum. It's real tacky and sticky substance that they used to put on their shoes down there on the side of the spats, and you wipe your fingers on it. And Blitnikoff he had it all over his body. The ball just stuck to him,
Yeah.
But when the quarterbacks hate it, because when they got the ball, it's all over that ball, and but he had that on the side of his spats. I know Blitnikoff, if you ever see a picture of him, a full length picture of him, look at his feet, you'll see this junk all over his shoes.
Beautiful picture. I mean, that's football to me.
Yeah.
Blitnikoff, Mark Van Egan. When guys used to get dirty when they played football,
right,
and muddy and dirty, and you knew it was a game. And I remember Blitnikoff with the stickum, because I remember my father had stickum on his sock, and he used to carry it right in the inside of his sock, and he just reached down before he'd return a punt and get a little stickum.
Oh yeah.
And I got some stickum. I think high school. That was my last experience with stickum, because then they outlawed it.
They outlawed it, and then the gloves came in, but receivers didn't wear gloves in those days.
Didn't wear gloves. Isn't that something? Yeah,
nobody wore gloves. You go back and play in Buffalo in December, you didn't wear gloves.
Nobody wore gloves. Gloves became a thing, and then the first gloves I remember seeing really was the Steelers started wearing baseball gloves. I'm sure other teams did, but I'm just saying that the Steelers were hot then in the 70s.
Yeah.
And when they play like the Bengals or somebody, and they would wear gloves, baseball gloves, because football didn't have gloves dedicated for football. They didn't. The technology wasn't there.
What would happen today if they outlawed gloves?
The swag would be gone. Guys would quit football. I can't wear my gloves. I'm out of here. I know some kids that would. Shoot, mine might quit. You couldn't wear gloves.
Yeah, my gloves.
Yeah, you had to have two things. Okay, you had to have gloves, I guess, and when we played, Mike, you had to have a half towel. It was all about your half towel. Gloves weren't in. I take that back. Gloves weren't in, but you better have a half towel, and it better hang right, and it better be about 2 inches above your kneecap, and you can wear it in the back if you want and look fly like that, or you could wear it in the front, whatever. But you had to have that, and you had to have your stuff spatted up in long white socks.
Did you wear hip pads?
No. Oh no. I took the hip pads out once I left UCLA. Yep, that's very uncool.
For me in college, the hip pads would always get turned sideways.
Oh no, you look bad
in the front. And I looked awful.
No.
I was skinny. I know it's hard to believe, but I was a skinny kid.
I believe that.
College, and they'd give me these big old hip pads for linemen because I was a tight end, and they're too big. I should have just taken the pad out and taped it to myself. What I should have done. But I get in the pants kept falling down because they were too big. They were fine when they were dry, but when you get sweaty, they started sagging. I was a bad looking player.
Man.
And I had my hand pads. So if
that's was called hand pads with the pad on the back there.
So now, you need them. Yeah, exactly. So when I was going to go out for a pass, I took hand pads and stuck them in my pants. Yeah, it's a big key to stopping that tight end is he takes his hand pads off, right?
You look like Phil Villapiano or Gene Upshaw with all them hand pads coming off the line.
Then I had the biggest head in all college football, so I had this big old Jupiter thing looking on my helmet.
Gosh. Hey, you know what they call that these days, Mike? Cool looking uniform and all that stuff, that swag. We used to call it being fly, okay? But now the kids call it field drip.
Field what?
Field drip. I want you to write that down. Yeah, field drip. Like that, you just dripping with sweetness. Field drip.
Oh, for crying
kind of
out
like you
loud.
look when you go out and work in the front yard. Dude. I know you look. You have field drip. Yeah. So next week I'm going to quiz you on field drip. So be ready.
Field drip. Huh?
Yeah, and talk to Julie about field drip.
I don't think
cool.
I don't think anybody called anything in those days. You just played.
Well, no, but that was boring. See, now we've progressed. We're in the new age.
Field drip.
Field drip. We're gonna get our field drip right.
I got a name for field drip.
Well, too late because we got to say goodbye.
Yeah. Okay.
You save your name for next week.
All right.
All right, brother. Good seeing you, man.
All right.
We'll talk next week.
Okay,
Bye.
Ryan. Bye.